We welcome all of you present here today to Incredible India Reconnect 2022, the Canada edition, an initiative to connect with and welcome back our partners in the international travel and tourism industry.
Yeah,
As
yeah.
much as it is an update on Indian tourism, it is also a way for us to rediscover old ties and explore new opportunities for the future between Canada and India. And in that regard, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Shri Anshuman Gaur, Acting High Commissioner of India to Canada on this important occasion. And sir, I request you to deliver the opening remarks to kick off this roadshow. Shri Anshuman Gaur, sir.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be joining all of you for the Incredible India program on tourism. Canada is a cold country, and I don't mean the people, but the geographic location makes it a country of sun seekers. And India, being a warm, sunny, tropical country, should be a natural destination for most Canadians. Apart from the fact the great cultural and human diversity in India is a draw for most Canadians who are by nature culturally curious. And this is the theme that we have been working on in Canada in our efforts to increase the outbound tourism flows from Canada to India. Tourism, actually, travel and tourism is a major component and increasingly a growingly important component of India-Canada bilateral exchange. Canada actually currently has an advantage over India in terms of the services trade in travel and tourism, primarily because of the number of people coming to Canada from India is seen a sharp increase in the last 6 years. India offers, as I said, a great diversity of climatic, geographical, cultural, and human choices to people of Canada. Apart from the regular cultural and seasonal tourism traffic, we also have strong people-to-people bonds with over 1.6 million people of Indian origin making a home in Canada, an additional 600,000 people from India who are Indians living and working in Canada, an increasingly large number of students who are now coming to Canada from India. So these are the main drivers of growth of the flows tourism from Canada to India. India offers also an increasingly diverse range of tourism activities, especially our wellness and yoga related tourism, the culinary tourism, which are of growing demand in Canada, and also medical tourism, because in Canada, we have seen an increase in waiting time for any non-life-threatening surgeries and interventions, even dental treatment, which is available at a fraction of a cost at world-class standards and quality in India. So these are all potential areas of growth, and that's why I'm flagging them to this very august and experienced gathering as areas where we can enhance more the flows from Canada to India. There are also issues related to perception and quality of services to be delivered in India. Most Canadian tourists demand a higher degree of service satisfaction. And as we invest more in the Indian infrastructure, we find that we will be able to meet that expectation increasingly. The third issue, of course, is one of branding and advertising and packaging. This is a competitive market. Caribbeans have direct flights from Canada, and that is an increasingly important competition area for us if we want to capture the tourist flows from Canada, especially the seasonal winter tourist flows to sunny climates. We have seen an increase at the government level. The engagement has resulted in increase of bilateral flights. For example, we have 30 flights, direct flights every week now between the two countries. We are negotiating a revised air service agreement, and hopefully we will have an increased number of flights and connectivity. One of the important aspects in mobility will be the issue of e-tourist visa for Canadians in India. And that again is something that we have been working from the mission with our ministries of Home Affairs and Foreign Affairs in India to try to resolve and to reinstitute the e-tourist or the ETA services for Canadians traveling to India on tourism purposes. So I will actually end here, just this overview, and say that as countries which share a strong democratic bond, which share a strong people-to-people tie, and which have a complementarity in terms of their seasonality and the cultural dimension, I think there is some greater potential for more Canadian tourists and travelers going to India. And today we will be hearing from some of our experts, both the sides, some of the people in Canada who are exceptionally involved in the process of making these tourist flows possible. So I look forward to hearing and learning from them and also from our colleagues in India. So over to you. And again, welcome to all of you. I hope we have a very successful interaction.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Gaur, for putting all those strong points between India and Canada and how we can capitalize on those. On that note, I would like to welcome Mr. Ganji Kamalawardhana Rao, the Director General of Ministry of Tourism, to deliver his remarks on this occasion. Sir.
Thank you so much. Welcome to everybody who is attending Incredible India Reconnect program of 2022. Dear Anshuman Gaur, Acting High Commissioner of India, Mr. Christopher Bloor, President and CEO of Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, Mr. Shannon Skinner, a blogger for India Travel, who is also an award-winning broadcaster and also an author of an international speaker and writer, Mr. Nazir Karnai, President of Explore India Journeys, and Sri Mandip Singh Soin, founding president and member, Mr. Ashish Gupta. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to everybody on behalf of Ministry of Tourism. This is a very, very important session that we are having now, because this is a part of the series of sessions that we have been having. And Canada, which is very important for as far as our foreign travel is concerned. In fact, we have requested all the 20 embassies, Indian embassies abroad, where the officers, tourism officers are declared there, they're notified. One of the officers working in the embassies are notified as a tourism officer, and we have invited them also to the forthcoming tourism ministers conference that we're having from 18th, 19th, 20th, where all the tourism ministers in the country, in India, they're assembling and one particular place in Himachal Pradesh and discussing about how to promote India and the assets of India and the strengths of India. And within the country, one state sells to another country at the same time. Entire country is inviting all the foreign nationalities to come to India in the next few years. In this, lot of efforts are required. Lot of attempts have to be made. A lot of thinking has to get into this in formulating our policies to attract foreign nationals. So I don't want to get into the numbers of how small countries like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Turkey, and other people, they're doing exceedingly well compared to India. As far as FTAs are concerned, we need to reinvent ourselves, and we have to identify our strengths, our weaknesses, and focus on this, and for which embassies have to play a major role. So I therefore request our ambassadors everywhere, and particularly from Canada, to see that all the areas are explored in a big way. So to start with, let's talk about what our Honorable Prime Minister has mentioned in Germany. He said that we must concentrate on diaspora. Indian diaspora are the largest ambassadors of this country. So these Indians, he said that every Indian should bring minimum 5 non-Indians to India. That is an incredible idea of every Indian who's living there. Of course, they are very, very busy in their own regular activities of going to the offices and taking care of their families. But during the day, every Indian, when they interact with the Canadian population there, whether it can be during their jogging, whether it can be during the schooling of their children, whether they travel in the buses or in the flights, in the markets, in the shopping centers, or in the Starbucks coffee areas. So when they interact with the non-Indians there, it is a great opportunity where they can certainly, by spending 5 minutes or 10 minutes every day, can speak about the great places from which they come from. If a Orissa person is talking to not Indian there, a Canadian citizen who is traveling, let's say, then he can mention about the greatness about Orissa. Similarly, a Gujarati can speak about the greatness about the Somnath Temple or Statue of Unity, Dholavira, because we have been telling, we all know that no other country in the world has more than 5,500 ancient monuments which are maintained by Archaeological Survey of India. No other country in the world has got more than 40 UNESCO heritage sites. So this civilization which is given to the world, the oldest civilization. We're also talking about the largest democracy and the oldest civilization. When we showcase the oldest civilization to the world, we must be showcasing in a big way. So we have modernized ourselves so much. Whether if a Canadian wants to come to India, he may Canada is a cold place, as the acting ambassador has mentioned. So he really wants to come to nice places, warm places. So we have 7,500 kilometers of the beaches. So he can come to any part of this country on the coastline and just relax himself. And now the latest thing is security, right? Safety and security is very, very important. As far as safety is concerned, 197 crore population is they're vaccinated in this country. So nowhere in the world, this number is a huge number, thanks to the guidance and the leadership provided by our Honorable Prime Minister. So he has led this great operation successful. In fact, we have crossed, we're just trying, we are crossing 200 crore population. And we have, I think there is some problem in Zoom. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, so
Yes.
so then as far as security is concerned, and we have not received, we have not seen when we go through the police records in every state. From every state, we collect information regarding the safety of the tourists. So we have not registered any case about whether any ill treatment or any inconvenience caused to any tourist. So far in the last one decade, we have not seen any kind of cases like this. So safety is absolutely assured in this country. It is safe to travel, and the kind number of airports that we have, number of railway stations that we have. One of the low-cost railways. If you talk about internationally, India is offering you the best of the facilities. So it's a 365 days destination. The Canada tourists can explore wildlife in a big way. We are offering Himalayan states, every state near Himalayas, the Himalaya mountains, we are trying to promote in a big way. And we have wonderful deserts with us. And every, if people of budget income people are coming, we have homestays in Himalayan states, we have homestays in Kerala. Every state government has got, Uttarakhand, Kerala, and many states have got their own policies on homestays. They come with they can stay in they offer their ethnic cuisine. You know all very well that Canadians can enjoy. There is nothing like Indian food. You have in South India itself, there are many varieties of food varieties. Similarly, in the North India, Western India, Eastern part of India, every state has got different varieties of food. So Canadians can certainly have a great time with the food. Now, acting ambassador has mentioned about medical value tourism. Yes, we are the highest number that we receive under medical value tourism is second highest is from Canada, because of the accessibility, because of the cost. Now, many hospital chains, we are offering the 5-star facilities. If you go to any part of this country, many of the hospitals offer 5-star and luxurious comforts, and the doctors are also accessible to everybody. So now online portals is, we are starting an online portal. Tourism Ministry has appointed in Indian Tourism Development Corporation, ITDC, as a nodal agency. So ITDC will be providing end-to-end services, non-medical services to the patients who are coming from Canada. So these are certain areas where Indian Embassy and the travel agents there can explore while coming here to India. We have Civil Aviation Ministry also. They are taking good care of maintaining the airports. Our airports are on par with the international standards. And I request many of these companies, multinational companies which are there in Canada, to come for corporate retreats. MICE tourism is becoming a very big activity in this country. The cities of Mumbai or Delhi or Chennai, Kochi, Hyderabad, they have international class hotels and convention centers. One of the largest convention centers is ready in Delhi for inauguration. So we have plenty of golf courses. Anybody golf lover comes. So these the tour operators from India, I'm sure they must be interacting with the tour operators of Canada. We want these areas to be popularized there in Canada. So with this, I conclude. I thank everybody who's participating in this, and I hope that this year, after a gap of 3 years, when the travel is becoming very vibrant now, this year I'm sure we will see the highest number of Canadians coming to India. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very well-rounded approach on what India and Canada have to offer to each other and what the immense potential of India is. On that note, I would now like to welcome our experts and people from the source market of Canada. So, Mr. Christopher Bloor, President and CEO, Tourism Industry Association of Ontario, firstly. Yeah, Mr. Chris.
Thank you. I'm not really sure how to follow that, because that was an incredible advertisement of what India has to offer. And my colleagues in the Ontario and Canadian market might want me to shy you away from being on television with too many people who are looking to book their holidays, because that was very, very good. So first of all, my name is Chris Bloor, for those who weren't here at the beginning, and I'm the president and CEO of the Tourism Industry Association of Ontario. We're proud to be the voice of the tourism industry in Ontario, of course, Canada's largest province. I'd like to thank the Acting High Commissioner for the opportunity to be here today and to address you for a couple of moments as part of this roadshow. And as you so articulately said in your remarks, we have so many shared values, we have so many significant economic ties, and so many of the same aspirations for the future. It's so important that we're having these conversations now. And, you know, I've been asked to slightly just touch on what the state of the tourism industry is in Canada right now, because that is, of course, the battle we've been facing over the last 2.5 years. And like the rest of the world, this has been an incredibly difficult time for anyone involved in the visitor economy. And in Canada, for 2.5 years, our borders have been effectively closed, and our businesses, our tourism businesses, have been operating in some of the strictest regulations found across the globe. And that has meant in Ontario and Canada, we've lost tens and tens of billions of dollars in revenues. At its peak, we probably lost close to 250,000 jobs across the country. But as an industry, we came together. We worked very closely with our federal and provincial government counterparts to try and mitigate the damage of what has happened over the last 2.5 years. And very, very slowly this summer, we're emerging from what has been the darkest chapter for the tourism industry in many people's living memory. And we are seeing some very, very encouraging numbers in terms of visitor numbers, and for those getting back on planes and going abroad internationally. And we're hopeful that those numbers are going to keep continuing as the threat of COVID dissipates. We still have many obstacles for our recovery of the tourism industry. Obviously, most notably, we still have vaccine mandates that still remain to enter Canada, which of course is still an obstacle for many people to choose to come and travel here or leave the country. And of course, we have some huge economic legacies of what has happened over the last 2.5 years. We have a major debt crisis within our operators who for the last 2.5 years haven't been able to bring in any revenues. And we have a labor crisis, which I'm sure my colleagues in some other countries across the globe are also struggling struggling with right now. With our industry being so badly impacted, many of the people that we've relied on to operate our tourism industry have chosen other professions or moved into different sectors because they simply have had to pay their rent or their mortgages, and that has not been you have not been able to do that when working in the tourism industry. But of course, like when most crises come along, and I think it was a politician who said, never let a crisis go to waste. This has given us the opportunity to renew and to rebuild. And we're very, very eager to rebuild our international relationships with countries like India and other big countries so that we can try and reimagine our tourism industry to what the current customer wants and reflects this post-pandemic world. And we've got to use these opportunities to reconnect, build partnerships that benefit both Canada and India. And that means investing in infrastructure. We talked about flights earlier, and we just have to maximize our collaborative working opportunities. We have a huge opportunity here and we can't waste it. And tourism, particularly in Ontario and Canada, is going to be a key part of our economic recovery post-pandemic. And I'm convinced that we won't just go back to the previous tourism levels of economic activity of the pandemic, but we can go much, much, much higher. We've seen how reliant our economies are on the visitor economy. It hasn't just been the tourism industry that has struggled when people don't visit the country. It's adjacent economies. It's adjacent industries that didn't see themselves as part of the visitor economy that desperately rely on people coming into the country. And I'll leave it there because I don't want to talk about too much doom and gloom, but what I just think of when I received this invitation and hearing you speak, Acting High Commissioner, is opportunity. And I think that's all that people want moving forward, is the opportunities to build, to reimagine and to renew. And I'm excited that we can really build something positive out of this pandemic. And I hope that this is the start of the conversation and some really exciting relationships starting with India moving forward. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was immensely an opportunity over here that we see. And this is one of the many firsts of what happens between Canada and India. On that note, I would like to invite Shannon Skinner, prominent blogger for India Travel, award-winning broadcaster, author, international speaker, and freelance writer. Shannon. Shannon, you're muted.
There we go.
Yep.
You can hear me? Thank you so much for inviting me to speak. I have a deep love for India. I've been to India 3 times. I've had the honor of traveling, seeing Delhi a number of times. So going to the northeast, to Guwahati, driving across Assam, to where else have I been? I've been to Kolkata, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Shillong. So I've actually seen quite a bit of India, and I have a deep love for it. So I'm thrilled to be here today. What I did is I talked to some people in the industry to get a sense of trends and issues that Canadians are facing when considering India as a destination. And then I also pulled from my own experience. The tourist visa apparently is frustrating right now. So there seems to be a lot of requests to move back to the e-visa. I know the airports with the chaos may not necessarily be a roadblock from travel, but it adds to it. But with the airlines and the delays, that's also seems to be a concern for people for an international travel, or like to India as a destination. And the fares have been quite high. So this is what people are complaining about to me. And what some of the travel agents are seeing is they believe that a lot of the travelers between the 2 countries are, as the Acting High Commissioner said, students coming to Canada from India, but that it's a lot of families going back and forth. And so we still haven't really hit the true tourists yet, in not my words, but theirs. Anecdotally, and I don't have any stats to show this, and maybe Christopher has a better sense, but a lot of Canadians have stayed home in the summer and really experienced slow travel. And you know, costs, they stayed at the cottages, camping, but saving money, and of course the fear of COVID sort of kept a lot of people sort of homebound. I know I myself didn't do any international travel this summer. I chose as a travel writer to focus in on a specific region in Ontario, Niagara, to get to know a Niagara, the wineries there, and work on a project there. It's something that I've wanted to do for a while. So I took advantage of that this summer. What some agents are saying, they're saying that people are rebooking trips that they had canceled pre-pandemic. So there's a lot of sort of last minute rebooking to those trips that had been last minute. What they're seeing is that India seems to be quiet. That's the language that's coming across.
Shannon,
Yes.
yeah, we lost you for a bit. You were at India seems to be keeping quiet.
Oh yeah. So travel into India seems to be quiet. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, great. But it has to do with a lot has to do with the perception, as the acting High Commissioner mentioned. There is a perception that the medical care in India is not at a level that many people are comfortable with. So that seems to hold a lot of Canadians back right now. And what they're seeing, what this one person was saying to me, that even though they see great offers on luxury hotels and great incentives, it's just not enough to draw Canadians yet. And also that Canadians are not necessarily traveling in big groups right now. And what they're doing is going on longer trips with multiple destinations with fewer people, like maybe a couple of family members, for instance. So those seems to be the trends that I've kind of have picked up on. One of the questions that was asked of me was, any ideas of how we can draw Canadians to India. And I think that, as the acting High Commissioner also touched on medical tourism, I think that there's a huge opportunity there, as well as wellness tourism, or like yoga and Ayurveda and whatnot, all within the wellness sector, to work closely with writers and influencers here in Canada to try to alleviate that concern of the level of medical care, so that Canadians have a better sense that there is great care there, and to sort of work on stories of Indian innovation, medical innovation, success stories, and try to get that out in forms of communication and promotion to Canadians here, to reassure them that if they go to India and they do get COVID, that they will be taken care of.
Perfect.
So that was really one of the ideas that I had, and of course yoga and Ayurveda is a growing interest here with Canadians. So I think to do more sort of more promotion, incentives around those themes.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shannon. All of those wonderful tips, which you very well summarized for all of us. Points taken, and we'll ensure that, we take action on those. On that note, I would like to welcome Mr. Nazir Karnai, President of Explore India Journey, Vancouver, BC. Mr. Nazir. Yeah, muted, yeah.
Here, let me unmute myself. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity. I feel, so great to be joining each and every one today. And we've been doing trips to India for many, many years from all across Canada. We're based out of Vancouver in the Western Canada. And we have, have been having a lot of interactions with Canadians that are basically traveling to India. India, in my opinion, I have traveled a bit to many different parts of the world, but I don't think any other country out there would come even close to India. When we talk about the culture, when we talk about people, diversity, cuisine, everything changes 200 kilometers. India's medical system, medical care is top of the line. Everything is amazing, incredible, and people love to travel to India. Now, past couple of years, we've had hurdles that everybody knows with the COVID, that the whole world was completely shut, and now slowly it's coming back. But we have seen an incredible demand for India. We have more than 500 people traveling from September, October, and November. Just for 3 months, more than 500 high-end travelers are traveling to India, and they are traveling parts of the groups. In fact, I am personally hosting one of the big groups, about 30 people to India, arriving in Delhi on October the 6th, personally arriving and doing about 18-day high-end travel around the country, which is incredible. But there are certain things that are missing out. And number one is that, as someone mentioned earlier, that we're facing a lot of issues with the visas, and everybody has the same complaint. And I'm sure that Ministry of Tourism and the High Commissions, they're working out a way to get this sorted for people so that they don't have to, wait for a month, 6 weeks. But there's a huge delay because they have to get an appointment at the BLS office and people have to go. But one thing I want to address here, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart the consulate office here in Vancouver. They have been shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, helping us and our clients to expedite their visas, because we've been receiving last minute bookings and all. So, which is incredible. And, that is something that we can't thank enough. Otherwise, there would be no way that, our people will travel to India. Then number two, I want to talk about every country in the world, if I'm not wrong, has their own India tourism office. And we used to have India tourism office in Toronto, maybe up until 2017 or 18 or something like that. And since then, there is no India tourism office in Canada. We have to approach the office in New York. There used to be San Francisco, Los Angeles, but they're not there anymore. So I think they should bring their office back, because Canada has a great opportunity. There is so much, and people are so much interested in traveling to India. And for that reason alone, I think there is a little bit more that we should be thinking of. Number one, we should do more road shows in Canada, interact people face to face, because now we're a little bit ahead of the COVID. Now COVID is a little bit back, in my opinion. We should do a few road shows in some big cities. We should put ads in the national newspaper at least once in a month, along with the India Tourism Board, that we will have interaction with people in Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, so that people get awareness of the country of India. Now, if you would travel, let's say, for example, you were in Vancouver back in 2016, 17, 18. If you were walking in downtown Vancouver, at least you will see 2 or 3 transit buses. They would have a big, incredible India banner. So there was a big awareness. Right now, I have been looking everywhere. There's no sign of India anywhere, as per my opinion. And I think we should come back, maybe not full, at least we should start a little bit to get some marketing out there. That is really, really important. And as I said, that India has a lot to offer, and we are on the top of India. Is a great destination, and we are in the middle of building a new product called India for Disability. There are at least approximately age of 15 plus approximately 20% of the population, if I'm not wrong, or have one or the other kind of problem with disability. So we are basically going to launch this product very soon. That would be, India for disability. People have disability. They've been ignored. They can't travel to India, but I know India has got, it's a wheelchair friendly destination in many places like Humayun's Tomb and Taj Mahal. Absolutely can take a wheelchair in and you can see it and you can enjoy it. And we're preparing our staff in India, our team, that they will look after these people. So nobody's doing so far India for disability. I haven't seen anybody, but we'll be probably the first ones that will be launching this product. And in addition to that, our product is pretty high end, and we do have a lot of groups and individual travelers traveling to India on private tours, and minimum stays about 15 days, 20 days. Yes, somebody said the flights are getting full, things are becoming, but it's just the nature that there is a demand on the product, and we should take an advantage at the same time. The only hurdle at the moment is the visa. If because of a neighboring country, we talk every week. This week I have approximately 3 big Zoom calls that we're hosting with the groups that are traveling to India. And the question is, neighboring country has e-visa facility, United States, but we do not, right? We have no answer to that. I know there are ties up with the government, whatever is going on. We don't need to go into those details, but it's a request if this can be expedited, talking to different governments at different levels and to expedite that would be great. But other than that, I would say marketing is very, very important that we need to think of and we need to work on, and the visa. Other than that, people are going to follow India on its own because it is an incredible destination and it's once in a lifetime experience. That's all I can say for now, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nazir. You reiterated exactly what's the call to action for Incredible India. So totally point taken, and we love how you did the last mic drop thing there. So now I would like to.
No, India is actually, I have to tell you, it's nothing. It's not a sale for us. It's a passion. It's totally passion, and it's totally passion. That's what it is, and it's close to my heart.
Awesome. Carrying on that passion from you. I would now like to welcome 2 respectable members from the Indian travel trade and community. Firstly, Mr. Mandeep Singh Soin, founding president and member of the Responsible Tourism Society of India, and then Mr. Ashish Gupta, consulting CEO from the Federation of Associations in Indian Tourism and Hospitality. I would like to, request them to give their quick perspective, after which, we would love to open the floor for question and answers from different stakeholders, most importantly from our travel trade stakeholders in Canada, post which, questions can be answered by anyone from the panel, and we would love to take it on as an interactive session from there. So firstly, the brief perspectives of Mr. Mandeep and Mr. Ashish in that order, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, it's very interesting that I should be interacting with people from Canada, because in 1989, that was my defining moment in the Arctic, in the Ellesmere Island, where I spent a month on an environmental expedition studying the ozone hole. And that led me to this journey of what we've been pushing for in the tourism industry in India to be a lot more sustainable in our operations. So just to give you a very brief capsule on how things happen, we had an alarm call in the Himalayan area of Nanda Devi, which is fairly famous, when it was closed down to tourism. And that was because of the environmental impact. So I think the industry realized very quickly that if you do not act in harmony with nature, obviously, and you don't take care of your footprint, the government will probably start closing down areas, which is not obviously a very good thing to happen. So somewhere along the 90s, we had a very strong, which we still do, is the Pacific Asia Travel Association, which is a very dominant travel association in this part of the world. We had an environment and ecotourism committee that pushed a lot of best practices into the industry. And, that was something that was done in the early 90s when the travel industry took a pledge in India to say that we will try and act as sustainably as we can. So that was the slow sort of walk through. But it was 2008 that the government and the industry came to the national body, which will focus solely on sustainability and responsible tourism aspects. And it will not be part of other associations who have a mandate of either increasing business or lowering taxes, etc., etc. So hence was born the Ecotourism Society of India. And very soon after 2008, it was rechristened as the Responsible Tourism Society of India in somewhere in 2016, so that all our sectors, whether it's the airlines, whether it's the transport, tour operators, hospitality, hotels, etc., can all have a set of best practices evolved over a period of time. And India actually launched something called the Sustainable Tourism Criteria of India, which is based on the GSTC platform. But of course, it is still in the implementation stage, as we say, work in progress. We've also had some sort of policy directions, which luckily we've got a MOU. We work very closely with the government and with the UNEP of India, which is the United Nations Environment Program, to basically say that if we have intelligent government policy, we also have a good industry action. And now we focus, as of last year, on something called the responsible traveler behavior. And therefore, we thought that the missing link in all this to make tourism green and sustainable is the traveler himself or herself. And so therefore, we brought out guidelines, which I'm very hopeful, as Mr. Rao had mentioned earlier, that we are having putting our heads together on a all India tourism meet, tourism ministers meet. And one of the ideas is to actually have these guidelines be adopted by every travel company or every traveler that comes to India. When you apply for the visa, we are hoping that you will actually be able to sign off to say that, yes, you pledge to follow the responsible traveler guidelines. And if all goes well, I think one of the most interesting experiments we hope to undertake is the development of a responsible traveler app, which will basically give you the power of taking a photograph with a GPS location. So should somebody be doing the wrong thing, if you're not respecting a sacred site, or you're felling some tree which is not supposed to be done, etc., etc., you have a phone in which you can take a photograph. So even if, we think it will also act as a deterrence. But basically to say that a lot of the industry is rising to the occasion, because we all know that Booking.com came up with a survey which said about 60% people will choose sustainable tourism options when they travel. And that's what I think the Indian industry is getting ready for, to come up to speed and to make sure that it is not just lip service at the hotel and accommodation or at the tour operator DMC level. And we just hope that between the travel industry from other countries, the DMCs that are based in India, and indeed if we can spread the message thanks to media, bloggers, and everybody, to say to the traveler that if you ask the right question, that if you demand sustainable actions, then I think we are on a winning curve. So that by and large is what we are hoping to do. And we also hope to expose some of the amazing, not just the built heritage, but also I would like to bat for the natural heritage. The number of wildlife sanctuaries, and it's a recent news that we are getting 8 cheetahs from Africa, and they will be reintroduced in India because we lost them, many decades ago. And that would be another big one for the wildlifers and, people who are interested in ecotourism, etc. So with that, I think I'll sort of close it at that, but happy to, do any Q&A if needed, etc. So thank you for that.
Sure, Mr. Mandeep. Now I'll give it to Mr. Ashish, and after that, which we'll come to the Q&A and interactions.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I think we are very short of time, so I will be very brief. First, congratulations on this initiative. It's fantastic. So I would like to quickly break my 2-3 minutes into two parts. One is a very quick overview of why we believe India has a very strong strength for the Canadian market. And the second, some key suggestions. Very quickly, before that, for those who are not aware of what the Federation is, it's a national policy plan of working on policy with the central and state government. So it's marvelous to see so many strengths being identified for India. But I would like to identify the biggest strength of India is that the Indian tour operators and the fact that the Canadian market, the Canadian outbound tour operations market would be in a position to connect with them and work with them in a very sustainable, strong manner is one of the biggest strengths that India has. It's a very structured market, very systematic, very scientific approach. The second key strength that India has, as has been highlighted, is the segmentation of the country. There are multiple economic segments that the source market of Canada can look at, which is upper premium, upmarket, mid-market, and budget. The third key aspect of India, obviously, is the biggest trend in the current environment, which is vaccinations and English speaking and democracy. I think if you couple all these three, India is in a very sweet spot, more than any other country internationally. Over and above these, I think all of you have very kindly talked about the regions of India, the warmth of India, the segments of India, the fact that there's as the High Commissioner rightly said, there's a complementarity between the source market of Canadians and the destination market of India. There's a huge warmth, not just the warmth of the sun, but the warmth of the attitude, which is why there's a natural fit between the Indio-Canadian market, and we should leverage this. So how do we go forward? There are 2 or 3 suggestions that we would like to leave on the table to take forward. The suggestion on flights and visa has been discussed, I'm not repeating that. I think it's very critical for India to have India evenings in the key source cities of Canada, which will ensure that there is a visibility right up front with the Canadian trade and with the Canadian consumer. The second aspect I would like to identify is presence, at least in out-of-office holdings and D2C direct-to-consumer communication to be launched at a frequency with the Canadian market. The third key aspect is our fan trips for the Canadian outbound, and our Indian tour operators will be very happy to work with the Minister of Tourism and with the Canadian outbound to have a systematic fan trip going across the country. The final key thing is that let's set some goals to ensure that we not only increase pre-pandemic what our number was, but let's target segment-wise, as was rightly identified by Shannon. Slow travel, for example, let's look at each segment and take a sum of parts approach of how India and Canada can work on different segments, on different destinations, on different partnerships between outbound and Canadian outbound and Indian inbound. And let's do a frequent interaction such as this to ensure that there's a progress in each of these steps. Once again, wish you all a fantastic morning and evening ahead, and congratulations on such a good initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashish. We did start 10 minutes late, but we'll just put 10 minutes for the questions now. I see one question which has come from Rajaram Dalvi. Could you please let us know how to become an official facilitator? Thank you. Any inputs on that? The question is, could you please let us know how to become an official facilitator? If Rajaram Dalvi would want to come, and we'll allow you to talk, if you would want to come and speak about the question a bit more.
Should I reply to this, Sai?
Sure, sir. Sure.
So this gentleman wants to become a facilitator here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So in 2019, Minister, earlier we were having regional local guides. And later, in the year of 2019, to broaden the base of guides, in the role of guides in the country, we have introduced a new policy of tourist facilitator. So anybody can take an exam. There is a particular examination which they have to pass, an online examination. And there we will be awarding you the facilitator certificate. And with that, you are entitled to be engaged by any tour operator to become a facilitator.
Mr. Rajaram, building on Sir's answer, I've also put in the link for the certification and exam, which gives you more information for that. So thank you. Yes, we have one more question. Any plans? Yeah, that's the same question. Any plans to restart the hospitality program for media to visit India? So around the lines of hospitality, promotion and marketing.
Yes, we are planning for that. And the program or the policy is yet to be approved, but we are waiting. It may take 1 to 2 months. And after that, we'll start this farm trips by the foreign media and other media from other parts of the country to come to India. It may take 1 to 2 months.
Thank you, sir. We are open for any other questions from the audience.
There's a question about from John saying, can you share DMCs to deal? You see that?
DMCs to?
Deal.
Deal with.
Deal with, but just deal, yeah.
You mean the data? The entire data?
No, they're looking for somebody to deal with, like for a product to India. Like, for example, someone like us or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe have people that want to travel there, or maybe they need a product in terms of providing to their clientele or their guests that want to maybe go to India. So they need
I can take that. I think if you could go to the website of Indian Association of Tour Operators, IATO, they are the nodal body for inbound who are DMCs and who are certified, recognized, and an excellent body of professionals. You would be in a position to reach out to them, and they would immediately help you with DMCs by the region or by specialization. Indian Association of Tour Operators, IATO.
Yes.
I'll put that on the chat too, the website of IATO, so that John, for your guidance, you can use
and
that.
Also, Indian there is a association ATOAI, which is for adventure tourism. And if you want to do with conventions, then you have ICPB. So we have specialized bodies, and you can reach out to each of them. ICPB for conventions, for adventure, ATOAI. But for any other query on inbound, IATO. And you'll get absolutely professional response. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ashish. Thank you so much. There are no open questions, but I'll still look at the chat if we have any other questions. Questions from the panelists are also welcome.
Unmute, yeah, there are some questions in chat which I'd like to respond to.
Sure.
First, we have Mary Ellen, and she's asking about the information that's being asked for yoga, wellness, and culture tourism. So we do have packages in the mission where we help you connect with people who are providing such packages in India, tour operators who are specifically focused on wellness or yoga or Ayurveda packages. But I'd also like DG sir to join in and respond to that as well.
I think DG sir just had a blip with respect to his network.
Okay, so let me take the other question.
Sure.
Then there's an input from our good friend Baljit Nagpalji. He's talking about that he has he hosts a radio program in Ottawa, and he has already been working to promote India and rail journey, rivers of India, and that he's asking organizers to use his platform to amplify the messages. So I would again ask, we know this radio program very well, Radio Farmaish, and I'd ask Incredible India to look at availing the platform which is offered. Also, the tour operators in India. One of the things which was mentioned, I think Mr. Nazir mentioned that about the need to occupy the space. Because of the pandemic, we have seen a kind of a stoppage of the promotion and branding exercises, not just in India. There's hardly any tourism promotion being done in Canada. So I think the time is now to occupy that space, and we would again request Incredible India to look at a branding exercise or a branding campaign in Canada, which will really put some of the segments in. Then
Sorry to interrupt you.
Please.
We have at several times been in touch with the India Tourism in New York, and we have requested, as we used to do earlier, joint promotions with Incredible India. And we have done this a lot together back in 2016, 17, and 18. We used to have all these amazing ads in Globe and Mail, Vancouver Sun, Provence, and all across the country with the logo of Incredible India and our organization. And there was a huge demand. But unfortunately, we've been told that there's not enough budget this year and hasn't come. So if that could happen, it would be amazing. And we're still interested in joint promoting the country at the level of, with the India Tourism and probably with the India High Commission in Ottawa.
Absolutely, Mr.
Absolutely. We hear you, Nadir, on that, and I'm sure Minister of Tourism has heard you as well. We have a detailed strategy paper with the Ministry of Tourism in which promotion and branding are an important component of how we place India tourism in Canada, in the imagination of the Canadians. And I think our local missions and posts have the expertise and the insight to better guide and design those promotions.
Thank you, sir.
I think we have another, I think it was in the chat about the wellness and health and medical sector. So again, it was very heartening to hear from Nazir, I believe, the disabilities package that is specifically being developed. So these are some of the niche areas which you will need to, the Indian tour operators would also need to reciprocate. People looking for a particular kind of experience and how best you satisfy that. I think Shannon had a wonderful point in saying that not just about medical tourism, but reassuring the tourists that medical facilities will be available in case there is an emergency. Now, the demography of Canadian tourists, most of them are, in the advanced age bracket. It is the demography of how the Canadian demography is currently, and that's reflected in the tourist flows. So medical facilities for tourists is a very important factor in them deciding to choose India. End-to-end packages are what will drive up your volume. And I challenge the Indian tour operators to rise up to that, create such innovative packages which address these needs of LGBTQ focused tourism package will be very successful in India. A women's only tour package with assurances of all the safety parameters will be interesting. So those are the kind of packages which the mission can always advise you and help our tour operators develop those kind of packages. But that is the innovative thinking we should have going forward. And we have invested a lot in India. The infrastructure is now up to the mark, as DG was talking about. Not only was Prime Minister promoting India as a destination, his focus on Divyangs, as we call our disabled person, has led to a disabled friendly infrastructure in some of our not all, but at least in some of our major tourist destinations. So it's time to start using that, building into the general ideas of promoting tourists and providing those packages. Again, I see just a comment to round off. I mean, I see some of our regional associations here, Marathi and Gujarati. And again, taking off from what the DG Tourism was mentioning, you are the perhaps the best placed brand ambassadors of your region or your province's tourism potential in Canada. So when you celebrate Navratri, when you do Ganesh Chaturthi here, those are all opportunities where you can plug the tourism aspect and potential of India. From the mission and the post, we have been using these cultural festivals in Canada as a hook for promoting tourism. We do a lot of these state-focused and province-focused program with cultural associations here in Canada. And I think we invite more Canadian cultural organizations to come and join us in using their platform to promote tourism flows to India and their regions in particular. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anshuman, for that, taking the questions and also understanding what India and the Canadian Association's mission and all of us can do together. Reiterating the Director General's points and what Mr. Anshuman mentioned. Many of these things we talk about, promotion, updated lists, and data are all in the flow. And this is just one of the first steps, to reconnect between India and Canada. So on that note, I thank you all so much for attending this roadshow. We'll end with a concluding video on Incredible India, a 2-minute video. Excuse me as I share my screen. Just a minute. Some technical issues here, but no doubt. Thank you so much for.
Sorry to interrupt. If you want, I can share from my side.
Sure. Please, Anurag, please do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just see Abhishek has raised the question, who to connect in Canada to promote our organization. You can go through the Indian mission because the Indian mission is very well connected with the Ministry of Tourism, as Anshuman Gaur sir was saying. So all the marketing efforts, all the tying up partnerships, promotions, all those things are going to be rooted to the Indian mission. So they are your best partner investment. Yeah, Anurag. Sound?
Is it audible?
No, the sound is not coming on.
1 second, let me reach.
I think there's an important question by one of our industry colleagues called Homa Mistry, asking for an updated list of the Canadian travel companies to be
updated. And yes, sir. So
that's something that can be shared with the Indian Association of Tour Operators to make that bridge between two associations.
Absolutely, sir. Mr. Homa Mistry, we took the question. We thought we'll get back to the response, but now that Mr. Mandeep has raised it, so that will be our first step, and also sharing the list. To you.
Actually, some technical glitches there. We were unable to share the sound.
No problem. So it's been a long session, and we held you all for long, but hope it was fruitful and interactive on that regard. So thank you so much, all of you, for making to this edition of Incredible India Reconnect, Canada edition. And it's lovely that we could connect on a platform, share perspectives from both ends, and take action points for the future. So on that note, more to listen from our end at India from Action Points. Thank you all for those suggestions and feedback, and namaste. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.